So, let's say someone watched this now, has heard this, and they've gone, oh, that's exactly what I was going to do. Where should they start? How should they train their team? How should they become more informed? There's so much information out there. Where do they start? What's your advice?
So, I mean, my background is security first. So whenever I'm looking at AI, the first thing that I'm looking at is security.
Yeah.
And look, let me start here, I suppose. There's a lot of noise out there in the market right now about this agent and this AI company does this and this AI company is here and these guys are doing this, and it all sounds wonderful, but it's very noisy. And to kind of have a look at where to start, it's a difficult place looking outside and going and saying, I picked that one.
Yeah.
For what? For why? The best place to kind of start is looking internally. Look at your data.
Yeah.
If your data is unstructured, unlabeled, untagged, kind of all over the place, if you don't know what's in your data, you've got a problem. So you need to really go and identify what your environment looks like at the moment. Is it AI ready? Because the problem is, if you go in and you say worst case scenario, you've got a whole lot of unstructured data that is sitting in who knows where, and you throw an agent into that environment and you give it access permissions into your storage, it's going to know everything that's in your environment before you do. Yeah. So you've got your potential for leaked information or the vulnerabilities that come through from that. Honestly, that's the most terrifying point for me. Is just you need to ensure that you've got
control over it. Control
over it, knowledge over it, that you know where it is. I mean, some of the biggest leaks that have ever happened in history happen from old data, from dead data.
It's irrelevant. You think, that was 10 years ago, and it's still sitting in your environment. Yeah. And there's people, you go back 20, 30 years maybe, there's even perhaps passwords for stuff that's maybe stored in a file somewhere that no one's considered or looked at. I mean, it's interesting that the challenge is really for SMEs, enterprise, when it comes to this technology. It's almost the same problem that the developers of these AI models have themselves, and that is keeping control of the AI. Yeah. Making sure that it's doing what it needs to do, and it doesn't go off pulling data, creating vulnerabilities, leaking information. Yeah. It all starts really from your environment. 100%. Understanding your environment, that needs to be cleaned first. Yeah. It could be a period of time before you even look at getting towards AI, because you have to have the data set up there.
And that's exactly, if your data is not handled appropriately, or you don't have good hygiene practices with your data, AI is going to find that out very bloody quickly, and it's going to lead to all types of trouble. I mean, some of the biggest leaks, and almost challenge anybody to go and have a look at this. And if you do have a server on site, go into the server room. Are there old hard disks that are sitting there that are, unnamed? Who knows what they come from? I mean, some of the biggest data leaks have come from those not being disposed of properly, and then having passwords or access available on there. So, yeah, it's one of those areas. Have a look at what your data kind of looks like. And then the next biggest thing before you start looking at AI anyway is, what am I actually looking to achieve? So that's one of the biggest things, is trying to figure out, AI is very exciting. We want to see what it's capable of, rather than looking at what a problem is and then seeing if AI is capable of actually solving that. So, one of the kind of rules that we're running by at the moment is the 5-minute rule. What are you or your staff doing 5 minutes a day, 20 times a day?
Repeating,
maybe you're doing it 20 times a week only, or 50 times a week. What is that problem? Because that problem is something that you can probably go and say, AI can solve that. It's done. One implementation, it's an easy task to do. It's a low-level agent that you really need to, or it's a low-level AI bot, or whatever the case is. I would just say agents, I suppose, that you're throwing into that environment. That's just going to clean that up. It's going to take that 5 minutes, and it's going to clear up your day. You no longer have that task. So that's a good place to really start with it. So a lot of people are using it for, first line support. We're seeing a lot in the MSP market, from a security side, where it's kind of passing all of that information, and once it sees anything that it's not capable of doing, and escalates it up, wonderful for that. But then, you need to have proper checks to go and see.
Yeah, and I think what you touched on that's quite interesting there is kind of take a look at the 5-minute rule. I think what a lot of people first assume is there's going to be a list of use cases that we can kind of just deploy to.
Yeah.
And while some of that might be true, every business is sort of unique, and there's an element of processes and procedures that a company has. Like I said, it could be sales, putting information from one place to another.
Yeah.
It could be the technical team being a first line support agent. There are going to be lots of scenarios for different businesses, depending on your business model, depending on your industry. But it's important to kind of assess and understand what those processes are.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of an audit that needs to be done, a bit of an understanding of your environment, your processes. It's not going to be as simple necessarily as just, okay, we'll get this to do accounts payable.
Yeah.
Or we'll get this to do support with HR. And as I say, there'll be some of that. But it's overlooking the real potential in this technology, in that there are going to be lots of processes that are unique to each business that you can look to then use these tools for. And I mean, as you touch on that, what comes to mind is, and if you're out there thinking this sounds all too complicated, a shameful plug here, we run regular webinars on this topic. You can hear more from Matt Brannigan on kind of how this technology can be done, how we can kind of support from a security first standpoint to understand your environment. So if you'd like to kind of, learn more about these use cases, do attend one of our webinars. We'd happily see you there and can help walk you through the process rather than trying to figure this out yourself.